Alright, so this is my how-to video on how to solder up the guts of the Ultimate Useless Machine by Frivolous Engineering. You can buy their useless machine through the link that I'm putting in the description here. That's directly to their website, and it'll get you to their web store from there. These instructions can also be found online on their site under the how to build section. There is no videos, and that's why I'm making this video. Alright, so in the package for the useless machine, you'll get all the acrylic parts you need to put the box together. This is the guts kit. You'll get a switch, you will get a Microswitch, the main controller board, a little bit of heat shrink, 2 LEDs, one's green, one's red. They're not labeled in the package. I'll show you how to find out which ones they are. Your battery terminal, your motor, and about a foot of black and red wire. I'll be fast forwarding some portions of this video just so it doesn't run on too long. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our wire into the correct measurements. Now, you'll need one set of black and red that is 4 inches long, and you'll need one set that's 6 inches long. Take our black and red wire and we start cutting. And you can discard the little bit that's left over. It's about an inch, inch and a half, give or take, that's left over. Now you're going to want to strip these wires. I'll show you about how far you want to strip them. I'm going to grab my wire stripper. You're going to want about that much left over. So it's about a 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit less. Strip all 8 ends of the wire. They can all be about the same length. Not too important. Very important though, make sure you do not strip or make sure you do not cut any of the wires in there. There's only 7 wires in this thing. If you do break one, the machine will still work, it's just not going to work as well. Just be very careful of that. Alright, clean up a little bit here. I'm going to move all the stuff out of the way, just so we only have the stuff we're currently working on. Oh, I did forget to mention, we'll also have 2 resistors. Now, first we're going to do the motor. This is your 6-inch wires, the longer of your 2 sets. You notice on here, there are 2 little pins right at the end of the motor. That's where your power goes. Positive goes on one side, negative goes on the other. Now, with your motor sitting away from you, with pins up, so pins away, pins up, the red goes on the left side, and the black goes on the right side. And the best way to do this is to thread them through the little piece of plastic at the bottom, and then pop them in through the hole. Make sure that you get all 7 wires through the hole, because it will just give you a better connection. Now, when you're heating solder, always remember to heat the part and not just try blob solder on. This doesn't work like hot glue. If you melt the solder on while heating the part, the solder will cause a really nice bead. Once the solder cools down, you can pull these tight. Look like that. Alright, and you can set your motor aside. If you have a set of helping hands, it'll make a lot of parts of this easier. I do have a set. Anything I can do without it, that I can make this video a little bit quicker, but a little bit easier for people who don't have a set of helping hands. we'll do it that way. Again, there are some things that you may need to run out and buy, but if you have a soldering iron, some small grade solder, you should be fine. So on the Microswitch, there are 3 little pins right at the bottom there. We're only going to be using the left and the right pins. The middle pins unused in this. So what you're going to want to do is tin the pins. Add a little bit of solder to the pins. Again, same deal. Make sure you're heating the pin and not just globbing solder on. So now with that tinned, we grab your 4-inch wires, and you're going to want to tin the ends of them as well. The reason we're tinning these instead of just soldering them straight to them, if you were trying to solder them straight to them, you'd be trying to hold the wire, the solder, and the soldering iron trying to get it in there. It's just a lot of pain that you don't need to go through. So tin the ends of these. You don't need a lot of solder, just a little bit will do. Like I said, if you have helping hands, this will make this part, particularly this part, a lot easier. I prefer to do it without the helping hands for this video because not everybody has them. Okay, so now we're taking 1 red, 1 black to either side. It really doesn't matter which side they go to. This is actually, this controller and both these wires are actually just carrying negative signal. So you don't actually have to worry about which side goes where, just solder them on. So all you do is take the 2 tin pieces and you just heat them up together until they bond. If you have a friend, get them to hold this because otherwise this is kind of a pain. Yeah, both of our wires are firmly on there. Take a look at them just to make a close-up look at them just to make sure that they made a proper bond. I don't know how well you can see that. The bond on these. Because I forgot something and I've done 100 of these. I forgot to put the heat shrink on. So, pop a little piece of the heat shrink off. Like that and that. This isn't a super crucial point if you forget it, because it is actually quite easy to forget, apparently. It's not super crucial, but it is. This is the most likely part to break, is right here on your pins. If you do forget it, don't worry, it does happen. Take your soldering iron, melt off your terminal ends. Slide the heat shrink on. Same with the other one. Slide it on. I'm going to use the helping hands this time around because it's a lot quicker. Like I said, polarity doesn't matter on these, so you can just solder it back onto whichever side's closest. Even the professionals make mistakes sometimes. It's just all the more reason to not feel intimidated by this project. It's actually quite simple. Now we're going to begin populating this board. The 2 LEDs, like I said, they weren't marked, so you're actually going to have to find a way to test them. Now, this is not the correct way to test them, and if you hold these on, if you do what I'm about to do for too long, and by too long I mean more than about 3 seconds, you can burn out these LEDs. They are relatively cheap to get, but particularly if it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not getting them. But you can take your battery terminal, put 2 batteries in it, and then touch it to these 2 wires. The long end of this is the positive end, the short end is the negative end. And you can test it like this. I have a little rig designed just for this. So that's green. So that's green. I know the other one's red. Now, red, this board has all the stuff that's on it marked. It says actually what everything is. There's one that says LED 1 and one that says LED 2. Red is LED 1. Or, rather, red is LED 1. Now, they go in through the bottom of the board. Now, also where it says LED 1 and LED 2, that side, like for example where it says LED 2, the hole right above LED 2 is the positive hole. The hole right above LED 1 is the positive hole. These LEDs go in through the other side, so make sure that you put the red one in LED 1 and make sure that the positive pin is facing what would be the bottom of the board. Now these LEDs go all the way in, right up to, there's two little bumps. You should just see those two little bumps above the board. And then fold it over so it folds into place. And then do the same with the green one. The green one goes into LED 2, the same deal. Longer pin goes in the bottom part. Good time for helping hands, but you don't absolutely need them. Battery terminal's not going to work though. This is just to keep the LEDs from pushing through. And there you are. So now you're going to want to cut these LED pins off. Little set of wire cutters is good for this. If you have side cuts, they're even better. Careful not to scratch the board. You could actually cross a connection when you're cutting, if you cut the board or scratch it. There we go. Now the next step is the resistors. I'm not actually sure if there's a correct direction for these resistors, but there is a little green stripe on them, and I tend to put them at the top of the board. Resistors just go slightly to the right of the LEDs. And there's two slots that say R1 and R2. And then solder them in place. And then inspect the solder and cut the wires off. So you don't necessarily need to make the clippings really super pretty. I will, just because this board will end up in the mailbox of somebody who ordered one of these. So I like to make sure that they're really nice and pretty. If they're not pretty, it doesn't really affect anything. And next we're going to put the switch into place. This doesn't really matter which direction it goes into. It goes in through the top of the board, in the big 6 holes right in the center of the board. It doesn't really matter which way it goes in. It does, however, often take a decent amount of force to put it in. Don't be afraid to give it a little bit of force, you're not going to break the board. You can tell if it's in all the way if there's 2 little plastic notches at the bottom. There's 2 little plastic notches right here at the bottom, and if they're touching the board, they're good. And the little red notches, you can't miss them. Now, at the bottom, we're going to be soldering all of those points. The key is to fill that baby with solder. As much solder in there as you can without balling it over. You actually want it to all go down into it. Now, this time I'm going to use the helping hands. so there's a little bit better view on it. And you're going to have to use quite a bit of solder to do this. And again, this doesn't have to be pretty, but like I said, I want this one to be pretty because it's going to end up in somebody's mailbox. Alrighty. More than halfway there. Next, we're going to do the Microswitch, which is this little guy that we did earlier. It goes just below the switch that we just installed, and it has the labels on it right there that say Microswitch. Very bottom 2 points on the board. And the wires go in through the top and out through the bottom. And now it's very important that you make sure none of the wires get bent when you're putting it through the board, and that all 7 wires make it through. When you push them through, bend them over on the other side so the thing doesn't want to try and fall out on you. And now again, I'm going to use the helping hands just because now that the switch is in, you just really can't see anything, it tips over. Inspect your solder to make sure everything is took properly, and then clip your hairs. Now with the motor, which wire goes where is super important. If you put them in backwards, your finger will spin backwards, and the useless machine will become a little bit more useless. So there's a plus for the positive one on the motor. There's a minus for the black one. These wires can get pretty finicky, they keep wanting to pop out, so it's always good to bend them over at the other end. And last is your battery terminal. Same deal, these go in through the top. Just as before, if you get the plus and minus backwards, this baby's going to spin backwards. There you go. You're all done. Again, give your wires a haircut. Your finished board should look, give or take, like that. Now all that's left to do is bend your LEDs over. You want to bend them right at the LED. Give them a 90-degree bend towards the edge of the board. The reason you want to do it right at the top is if these LEDs extend past the edge of the board, your finger will hit them on their way down. You give them kind of an angle in towards each other so they focus in on where the theoretical finger would be. Theoretically, the finger would be right there. And there you are. You have a finished board. You're going to want to pop batteries into it and test it. I have a little tester device right here. Now when the switch is in the direction of the LEDs, you should get red. And on the motor, with those terminals facing up again, you should get clockwise motion. When you flip it into the opposite position, you should get green LED. And with those terminals facing up and away from you, you get counterclockwise motion. So going this way. This useless machine guts is ready to go. And that took me about a half an hour. It'll probably take you, unless you've done something like this before, it'll probably take you 45 minutes to an hour. Take your time, don't make mistakes. With any luck, you'll not mess up the heat shrink like I did. heat shrink kind of goes down over those little pins here, like that, and you're good to go. And then install it into your useless machine, follow the directions, and you'll have this. Now mine has custom LEDs in it, so they come up blue. And I only have a single LED in mine. I kind of thought once it's off, it should look off. That's just me though. So yeah, install your guts into your machine and enjoy. You'd be surprised, it may say useless on the box, but you get hours of entertainment out of this baby. Now, like I said, the link is in the description for where to purchase these, as well as link in the description for my blog for more stuff like this. I will be putting together an assembly video for the box. I'll be posting the prequel to it on my website just before I do it, so that way you'll know when it's coming. Alrighty? Thanks for watching.